What is a supplement? My name is Rusty Owen Brink. I'm a board certified osteopathic family physician who's been practicing integrative medicine for better than the past decade. Supplements. They're taken by mouth. They could be vitamins, minerals, herbs, other plants, amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, fats such as fish oil, carbohydrates such as ribose and glucose, parts of plants, chemically derived extracts of therapeutic plants and of other sources. Manufacturers cannot claim that they diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent illness. They can state that they help with health maintenance and well-being. Many modern medications, such as aspirin, are derived from what were once formerly taken as supplements, such as willow bark being used to make tea for fever. Later, aspirin was developed containing the active ingredient from the willow bark. Safety. The National Nutritional Food Association, NNFA, has taken the lead to establish safety in the absence of federal regulation for dietary supplement manufacturing standards. Assessments are done by a third party. The NNFA is expecting a proposal for federal standards. What are supplements used for? They're used to supplement diet and treat diseases such as echinacea, zinc, and vitamin C for a cold. They help to prevent illness, fight infection, hasten healing, act as relaxants or stimulants, many of the functions that modern medicines are used for. Are they safe? Usually, but again, it depends upon the manufacturer, their sources, and other factors. They're not as regulated as pharmaceuticals are. Also, tell your doctor. Many of these can interact with prescription drugs. You don't want a nasty surprise. altmedicine.about.com is a frequent reference source used throughout this presentation. This is a overview of sorts of supplements used in the United Kingdom. These are all done by different medical evidence as far as what is strong evidence, what is weak evidence, what is good evidence for a variety of different types of supplements and where they're used. And the link where this came from is listed at the bottom of this particular slide. This is the bottom part of that slide. It was too big to really be legible and able to be read when I tried to put it on one slide alone. Let's talk about alpha-lipoic acid. This is the structure. Metabolic functions. It's a fatty acid in every cell of the body that is needed to produce energy by converting glucose to energy. It's an antioxidant that functions in both water and fat, unlike vitamin C, which only works in water, and vitamin E, which only works in fat. It's able to recycle antioxidants such as vitamin C and glutathione after they've been used up. Glutathione is an important antioxidant that helps us to eliminate toxins, such as heavy metals and other things. Therapeutic uses for alpha-lipoic acid: peripheral neuropathy, pain, numbness, altered sensation. Brain function: it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, protecting the brain from free radical damage. Age-related conditions: it neutralizes free radicals, which contribute to aging and disease processes. Other possible benefits of alpha-lipoic acid include helping cataracts, glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and restless leg syndrome. Natural sources of alpha-lipoic acid include spinach, broccoli, peas. Brewer's yeast is a very good form of many supplements. Brussels sprouts, rice bran, organ meats. Side effects and toxicity syndromes: headache, rash, muscle cramps, paresthesias, rarely autoimmune diabetes. Avoid this supplement, alpha-lipoic acid, if the thiamine or vitamin B1 levels are low. Possible drug interactions include improved diabetic control resulting in low blood sugar or hypoglycemic events due to the diabetes medicines having a much stronger effect. It can also lower the levels of T4, thyroid hormone, so you need to monitor thyroid function, and it can interfere with drugs used for cancer chemotherapy. Ashwagandha is our next supplement. It has a rather complex structure, as noted. Metabolic functions: it's known as Indian ginseng. It is what we call an adaptogen. It increases stress resistance while enhancing energy levels. It stimulates the immune system. It reduces swelling. It's good for high iron content anemia. Therapeutically, it's used for anxiety, osteoarthritis, type 2 diabetes, cancer of the lung, breast, and colon. It's important to note that ashwagandha, being an adaptogen, certain times people will end up with debilitating fatigue due to adrenal burnout, and it's a thought that most classically trained physicians really don't give much credence to, where there's just constant fatigue going on, but the typical blood work that a physician would do will show that the adrenals seem to be doing okay. By adding a medication or supplement such as ashwagandha, however, frequently that fatigue will improve as the adrenal glands sort of get back on their feet and everything gets back to normal again. This is what it looks like. It's grown in India and Nepal. Side effects and toxicity syndrome. It can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea in high doses. Pregnant and lactating women should avoid it. Children, check with your pediatrician first. Possible drug interactions with sedatives, blood thinners, thyroid supplements, immune suppressants, blood pressure medications, and anti-anxiety medications. Also, as mentioned earlier, with diabetes medications. Astaxanthin, it's a long-chain polyunsaturated hydrocarbon. You can see all those double bonds there. Metabolic functions, antioxidant of the carotenoid class. It's helpful for DNA repair. Therapeutic uses, heart disease. It protects against oxidative stress. It can stimulate the immune system and repair DNA. Protects the skin from ultraviolet radiation. Has anti-inflammatory properties. It's good for rheumatoid arthritis and carpal tunnel syndrome. It helps to boost athletic performance. It helps eye diseases such as cataracts and macular degeneration. It's also known to help with degenerative neurologic situations such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And it may also lower blood pressure and calcium levels. Natural sources of astaxanthin include salmon, shrimp, rainbow trout, and lobster. It gives the flesh that pink color. Side effects and toxicity. It interferes with 5-alpha reductase, which can prevent conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which can lead to a lowered libido, gynecomastia or male breasts, erectile dysfunction. No known drug interactions. Bilberry. Looks a bit like a blueberry. Metabolic functions. It contains antioxidants of the anthocyanin group. Therapeutic uses. It strengthens blood vessels, including varicose veins and hemorrhoids. Has anti-inflammatory effects. It helps eye conditions such as glaucoma, macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, and cataracts. Natural sources. It's closely related to the American blueberry that it does look like. It's also similar to the bilberry, huckleberry, whortleberry, and buren myrtle. Side effects and toxicity syndromes are unknown. Possible drug interactions, again, none are known. Bioflavonoids. This is what the basic structure of a bioflavonoid is. The daily requirement, 500 milligrams, 1 to 3 times a day. Plant pigments that are not strictly considered vitamins. It has, however, been known as vitamin P. Examples would include rutin, hesperidin, quercetin, and naringin. Deficiency syndromes are similar to vitamin C deficiency. There's an increased tendency for bruising, bleeding, inflammation, and arthritis can worsen. Functions. Aids in absorption of vitamin C and helps to maintain its antioxidant capacity. Strengthens the capillary walls and helps to regulate their permeability while creating a barrier to infection. Therapeutic uses for varicose veins, hemorrhoids, ulcers, bleeding gums, arthritis, diabetic retinopathy. It can replace hormones for several gynecological problems such as irregular painful menses. May help prevent recurrent miscarriage, such as with rutin. Prevention of recurrent bleeding from weakened vessels, varicose veins, hemorrhoids, night cramps. It also has a bit of a depression and stimulant effect. 60 milligrams will raise histamine and lower serum copper. It's helpful for treating certain types of schizophrenia. Natural sources, it's found in many fruits, especially citrus, also in many vegetables, especially the pith and membranes of fruits, which contain tenfold the amount present in their juices. No known toxicity is noted. Natural sources of bioflavonoids are found in many fruits, especially citrus, also in many vegetables. They're especially concentrated in the pith and membranes of fruits. The pith and membrane will contain tenfold the amount present in juices, yet another reason why it's better to eat fruits than it is to just drink their juices. Toxicity, really none known. Drug interactions, lymphedema happens with calcium channel blockers. This is swelling of the lower extremities, the legs and ankles and feet. So if taking calcium channel blockers with bioflavonoids, one or the other should have their dose lowered. Tamoxifen is a drug commonly used for breast cancer, and bioflavonoids can interact with that, so you want to avoid citrus fruits and juices while taking tamoxifen. Choline, more of a simple molecule. Daily requirement, 550 milligrams for adult males and lactating women, 425 milligrams for other adult females. 450 milligrams, however, for pregnant women. The deficiency syndrome, steatohepatitis, or fatty liver, where you get fat deposition within the liver. It can progress to cirrhosis. It can also be associated with peptic ulcer disease, high blood pressure, hardening of the arteries, and kidney damage insufficiency with bleeding into the kidneys. Also, it's been linked with Alzheimer's disease. The metabolic function, choline exists in two forms, as free choline and as lecithin, formerly known as phosphatidylcholine. Choline, and this is lecithin, is two fatty acid chains with a phosphate group added to the choline. This is made in the liver. It's not really a true vitamin. Bile metabolism is, bile is an emulsifying agent. It acts like a detergent. It breaks fats down for absorption from within the intestinal wall. It's important for kidney health, metabolism of fats, transmission of nerve impulses, and creation of myelin sheath and the health of that sheath. Myelin is basically the insulation on our wires, the wires being the nerves. It's also known as the memory vitamin. It helps to improve our thinking function and our memory. Natural sources, choline is destroyed by cooking. It's found in whole grains, lettuce, cauliflower, peanuts, grape juice, soybeans, beef liver, egg yolks. It's also added as an emulsifier to a variety of foods, such as ice cream, mayonnaise, chocolate, and margarine. Therapeutic uses, it resolves and protects against fatty liver, cirrhosis, and gallstones. It decongests the liver, can be helpful for a cleanse. It helps with detoxification. It's good for hyperlipidemia. It reduces the LDL, the bad cholesterol, which when oxidized causes hardening of the artery wall. It's useful for hypertension and palpitations, again, the hardening of the arteries. Kidney damage and inflammation. Variations may have some antiviral activity, and the AL721 variant seems to have some activity against HIV. It's also useful for Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And it can help to prevent morphine dependence and facilitate withdrawal from opiates. Myasthenia gravis benefits from it, as does tardive dyskinesia, which is a side effect of certain antipsychotic medications. Parkinson's disease, Huntington's chorea, Tourette syndrome, and familial spinocerebellar degeneration all improve with choline use. Added with inositol to treat diabetes, 1,000 milligrams of choline with 500 milligrams of inositol. Inositol has a sweet taste to it, which makes it easy to use for diabetics as a sweetener, but it can cause diarrhea if you get too much of it. It can be helpful for bipolar disorder, glaucoma. Side effects and toxicity, massive doses may induce B6 deficiency. Epilepsy is a potential side effect of it. And loss of appetite and digestive upset. Chondroitin sulfate, good for arthritis. This is what it looks like. It's repeating units of that basic structure. It's basically a sulfated glycosaminoglycan. These ring structures you see are basically sugars. It's a chain of alternating sugars, N-acetylgalactosamine and glucuronic acid. It's usually found attached to proteins as part of a proteoglycan, which may have over 100 individual sugars added to it. Each of these sugars can be sulfated in various positions and quantities of sulfonation. Metabolic functions. Again, it's a major component of the extracellular matrix with other large aggregating proteoglycans such as aggrecan, versican, brevican, and neurocan. It's a major component of cartilage. It's got tightly packed, highly charged sulfate groups that generate electrostatic repulsion, which provides resistance of the cartilage to compression. It also tends to attract and hold on water, which adds to the buoyancy and density of it. Lecticans are involved in the regulation and healing of the brain's extracellular matrix, the support cells that keep the neurons happy and healthy, including things such as the myelin sheath. It can act as a stop signal for neurons as they migrate from the vessels of the brain, which are open cavities filled with spinal fluid, to the cerebral cortices where our thinking takes place. They have anti-inflammatory activities. Therapeutically, it's used as medicine to treat osteoarthritis in Europe and in America. It's commonly sold with glucosamine. It's also used in veterinary medicine. There's some thought that it may not be as effective with osteoarthritis of the knee, however. Natural sources, extracts of cartilage from bovine, porcine, and avian. That's beef, cow, pork, pig, and bird, and also marine sources. Side effects and toxicity syndromes. It's not metabolized by the cytochrome P450, which is a major part of the liver where drugs are broken down and other things are detoxified. So there's really no known toxicity. There's also no known possible drug interactions. Acetyl myristoyl, also known as CMO. This is what it looks like. It is a acetylated fatty acid ester of myristoylic acid. It can be used either topically or internally. It was discovered by Harry Deal, an NIH researcher in 1972 while researching anti-inflammatory drugs. It was patented in 1982 for arthritis. It's best taken with a lipase supplement. Lipases help break down fats. This, as you can see, has a long hydrocarbon chain. It is a fatty compound. It works best with avoidance of caffeine, animal fats, sugars, alcohol, and citrus. No daiquiris while taking this, please. Metabolic functions. It appears to help lubricate soft joints and muscles, soften tissues, increase flexibility. It also has some anti-inflammatory effects, and it may modulate the immune system somewhat. It's used for its anti-inflammatory effects, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, Reader's syndrome, which is a combination of arthritis and inflammation of the conjunctiva, the lining around the eye, and the urethra, where urine leaves the bladder through the urethra to the rest of the world. Ankylosing spondylitis, which is an inflammatory hardening of the spine where excess calcium is deposited. It looks like a bamboo spine on x-ray. Sjogren's syndrome, which is another autoimmune disease, that involves the immune system attacking the tear ducts and the salivary glands. You have a dry mouth and dry eyes. And finally, systemic lupus erythematosus, which is another form of an autoimmune disease. It's also helpful with multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, emphysema, leukemia. It may also benefit fibromyalgia. It can be taken internally or topically. And it can also be used in animals by the veterinarians. Natural sources. It's found in many plants and animal oils. Side effects and toxicity syndrome. Too much of it can cause some bloating, gas, and diarrhea. Otherwise, there's no known drug interactions. CoQ10, ubiquinol, also can be a ubiquinone depending on whether these oxygens at the start of this molecule are reduced with hydrogen at the end of it or oxidized without the hydrogen. Metabolic functions. It's essential to mitochondria or cellular power plants. It functions to help convert glucose to energy by creating more ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Therapeutically, it's used to reduce muscle pains while taking statin-type cholesterol medications, which in susceptible people will greatly damage the mitochondrial function and cause severe muscle aches and pains. It's also useful in congestive heart failure to buttress up the mitochondrial capacity of the heart so that it can have more power available to get out of the heart failure mode. Cardiomyopathy is a condition where the heart muscle is abnormal that frequently leads to congestive heart failure. So again, we're getting to the root of the problem. Parkinson's disease, gum disease, diabetes, hypertension, a variety of things are benefited from CoQ10. It's fairly expensive, but it does work very, very well. CoQ10, natural sources. It's best if eaten raw. Heating degrades it. The alcohol ubiquinol is preferred to the ketone ubiquinone. Supplemental dosing can range from 300 to 400 or more milligrams daily. It's found in red meat, oily fish, plant oils, including soybean, rapeseed, sesame. It's also found in whole grains, such as wheat germ, walnuts, peanuts, spinach, and broccoli also contain it. Side effects and toxicity syndromes, loss of appetite, heartburn, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, low blood pressure, blood sugar, headache, dizziness, insomnia, flu-like symptoms. Possible drug interactions. It can interfere with drugs that are used to treat diabetes, high cholesterol and blood pressure drugs, and warfarin. Dihydroepiandrosterone, otherwise known as DHEA. This is what it looks like. The metabolic functions. It's produced by the adrenal glands as a precursor to the male and female sex hormones. It's a steroid. It was discovered in the 1930s. Therapeutic uses include osteoporosis, lupus, Crohn's disease, schizophrenia, erectile dysfunction. It can also improve the libido or sex drive. May prevent diabetes, some cancers, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease. It should be avoided with cancers that are affected by sex hormones, such as breast cancer. It improves sleep. And I say couple because it'll help men and women, since it's a precursor to testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. Natural sources: soy, wild yams. Side effects and toxicity syndrome: anything that can go along with too much hormone, sex hormone, acne, hair loss, growth changes, voice changes, aggression, agitation, mood changes, insomnia. Possible drug interactions: leflunomide and teriflunomide, which are both used to treat rheumatoid arthritis, and also metopide, mipomycin, which are cholesterol. Diindolyl methane, also known as DIM. Metabolic functions: it inhibits the aromatase enzyme. It is a monooxygenase that's involved in making estradiol and other estrogens. It is a member of the cytochrome P450-1A2 enzyme family in the liver, a group of enzymes that detoxifies many things, including medications. It transforms androstenedione to estrone. Estrone is one of the three major estrogen compounds. This particular one, however, is linked with cancer development. The estrogens are three main estrogens: estrone, estradiol, and estriol. And different species of mammals have different ratios of these three estrogens. Estradiol is the most predominant in humans, but estrone is the one that's linked with many cancers, notably breast cancer, etc. DIM also transforms testosterone to estradiol. It's found in and active in a variety of tissues, including the gonads, the testes and the ovaries, the brain, adipose tissue, body fat, the placenta, blood vessels, skin, bone, endometrial and uterine fibroids. It's been linked with breast cancer. It's also very important for sexual development. And this is the structure of the compound. Therapeutic uses: it's thought to influence development of hormone-dependent cancers such as breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer. It's used to prevent breast cancer. You may have heard of Arimidex, which is an aromatase inhibitor. Okay, and what this does is it inhibits the action of the aromatase enzyme, just like DIM does. It may be involved in weight loss, detoxification, relief of premenstrual syndrome, treatment of benign prostatic hypertrophy, otherwise known as BPH. Natural sources: cruciferous vegetables, including broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, collard greens, kale, mustard greens, watercress,